for me, it was a lot of negative emotion. And negative emotion is literally just an indication that you're out of alignment with who you are in your true inner being.
Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast, where we talk about taking messy action, knowing that perfect is boring. I'm Lesley Logan, Pilates instructor and fitness business coach. I've trained thousands of people around the world, and the number one thing I see stopping people from achieving anything is self-doubt. My friends, action brings clarity, and it's the antidote to fear. Each week, my guests will bring bold, executable, intrinsic, and targeted steps that you can use to put yourself first and be it till you see it. It's a practice, not a perfect. Let's get started. All right, Be It Babe. I'm really excited about this. This is one of my dear friends who's going to be on the pod. And mostly she and I were just talking about a couple topics that we are both, interested in ourselves or working on with ourselves. And we thought, why don't we have this conversation with you guys? And that's because we're all works in progress, right? I know that you're going to laugh. I know that if you are feeling low, the energy of the two of us together is going to make you feel high. I promise you, you won't get a word in edgewise. And we are fast talkers. So if that bothers you, maybe slow the speed down wherever you listen to this podcast. But Launa Jae has been on the pod before. So if you have been a pod listener since day one, you are going to recognize her. She always has really good little one-liners that just make you go, yeah, that's exactly how I feel. And so I hope that this episode hits you on a day when you need it. And I hope you feel like you have people like Launa and I in your corner going through life with you. We're all doing the best we can. So here's Launa Jae. All right, Be It Babe. Exactly. That's exactly how we're coming into this episode. I'm so excited. One of my dearest friends, Launa Jae McClung, is our guest today. She is back from episode 52. And I think, I don't know, but last night I recorded episode 500. And I didn't know I was recording it. I was just like reading the thing. I'm like, this is episode 500. So you might be 552 by the time this goes out.
Hey, let's go.
I mean, if we're manifesting,
Hey, that's what this whole thing is about, right? So
yeah, it really is. So Launa, I mean, you and I go way back, but just in case people haven't listened to the way back episodes of 52, can you tell everyone who you are and what you rock at?
yeah, I'm Launa Jae. I'm a Dallas-based nutrition and fitness junkie. I specialize in flexible nutrition and really getting people unstuck, moving them from point A to point B without feeling like they have to be restricted. And so that opened up the lane for me to meet you. And I've been rocking with it ever since.
I just love how the world works and how we get to meet people. And I'm so grateful. There was just certain times in my life where I've just made some really great friendships, and you and B are one of those. And it's just been so fun. We talked about like why you're going to come on the pod, like what are we going to talk about? And I just want to address, and maybe this will come up in our conversation, but when you were on the show before, you were still doing what you do, but you were doing it differently than you are doing it now. And I just thought maybe it would be fun to kind of go back into the journey so people can kind of come along the ride with you. Like what's been going on the last couple of years since you've been on, with what you can share.
Yeah, a lot has happened. What's funny is my word for 2024 was growth. Oh man, did that one hit.
This is why I don't pick words, guys. I do not pick them because here's what don't lose your train of thought, but just so everyone understands, everyone's like, what's your word? What's your word? And like, I did choose impact for this year. So I did choose a word because I just got asked so much. But like when I was a child, my parents would say, I need to be more patient. So I'd pray for patience. And then they would tell me, oh, well, God's going to test you because that's what you want. And I'm like, well, then what are we doing here? I don't have the patience to be tested yet. So if I want growth, you have to be ready for growth in all directions. Anyways, back to you.
And I don't even know that, like, even when we feel like we're ready for growth, I don't even know that our human brain can actually process and like fathom what it takes to be able to grow, and the uncomfortability and like the stickiness and sitting in the trenches and all of that. People don't want that. When they say, I want growth, they want to come out on the other side, this new, shiny, brilliant object, right? But each part is just as valuable to the other part to become who you want to be. And I really leaned into that unintentionally, maybe some intentionally, So, what's been going on since the last time we talked? I joined a company and really kind of put my business on the back burner and wanted to fall in love with coaching again and do less of the admin, all of that. So, I worked with that company for about 2 years and then growth, right? Growth happened as I got better. I wanted more, and that bar kept getting raised, right? So, in December of last year, I started with a new company. So I'm working with a physical therapy company and I am running their online coaching department. So I'm the director of nutrition and fitness coaching, literally building this leg of our business from the ground up and really doing it. I've kind of taken the lessons that I've learned from all of the years and all of the years of entrepreneurship. And it really kind of like carved its own lane for this position to open up for me. I didn't know that it existed. I didn't know that I wanted it. And I just kind of kept being it and not really knowing what I was doing until it came and here we are. So,
I think this is so cool. So thank you for sharing because I know we have a lot of people who are like, "Oh, I want to work for myself. I just want to do it myself." And then
yeah.
that's scary and that's hard. And you and I have been there and we've seen the ups and downs and people don't realize when you work for yourself, like yes, you get to work for yourself, but then when the ish hits the fan, you work for yourself. And that
Yeah.
can be its own thing. And then you got to work with someone else and see what that was like. And I think what's really cool is because you had those two opportunities, it allowed you to see this current opportunity as something that was the best of all of it. It was like taking all of your entrepreneurism and everything you know, and then what it's like
Yeah.
to be on a team and then make it the best situation for the people you want to make an impact for. I think that's just really cool.
Yeah. It's evolved in a way that I couldn't even have articulated the way that I wanted it to. And really, it all kind of started with me just going within and
Mm.
me kind of, I had to realize, like, I kind of had a couple of aha moments last year. And there were like three specific instances. I remember I had one in March, I had one in the summer, and then I had one in December. And it's like, I don't know, I don't mean to schedule my mental breakdowns quarterly, but it happens like
I
that.
kind of want to know what the signs of the stars were doing. If there was something in retrograde 3 times last year.
Mercury was in the microwave, Saturn did something, and somebody pissed someone off, and it just came at me. But I'm a big I like to know the why behind the what. I'm a very curious person, and I really, as I get to know myself better, I love to pick up on patterns. And in hindsight, looking in these like three instances that really stuck out in my mind, I got to the point where I was like, what's the common denominator in all of these instances that brought out all of those uncomfortable feelings, the shit I didn't want to feel, the emotions, those times where you just have a breakdown and you're like, what is wrong with me? Am I broken? Right. And the common denominator in all of those situations was me. And
Isn't that like that sucks so much when you
it
realize it?
is a giant horse pill to swallow with no water.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, oh, God. Just like, okay, okay, we're still swallowing, trying to digest it. And I was in a situation where I was like, yes, I can build everything that I want. But I think until you realize what you don't want, you're not very clear on what you do and what you need, the action steps you need to take in order to get there.
Mhm.
And so for me, it was a lot of negative emotion. And negative emotion is literally just an indication that you're out of alignment with who you are in your true inner being. And this negative emotion waves, it like kept hitting me, like debilitating to where I'd get sick. I'd get stressed out. Like, I mean, the whole gamut, right? And the common denominator in the situation was me. I was doing the same thing over and over and over again on the day to day, waking up, checking my phone, doing the emails, hurrying to get through work, and all of this, and literally prioritizing my to do list over my life. And I was spinning my wheels and I was trying to pour from a cup that was like dried out. And I wasn't taking the time to make sure that I was okay before I started to give to others. And
Mm.
it's really easy to say, And it's a very simple concept to like think about, right? Like, okay, practice what you preach. How many coaches hear that in the online space?
Right.
But I was sitting there having these conversations with clients, and I'm like, okay, we need to work on stress management. It's not something that's magically going to disappear, just like you're not magically going to wake up after a heavy leg day and be good to go and be squatting your butt off. You know, you have certain protocols that you deploy when you overdo it in the gym, right? We got
Yeah.
massaging, we got cupping, we got cryo, we got all of these things. When we overdo it in the kitchen, we know we can get back to the basics: protein, fiber, 10K steps a day, drink your water, 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Let's eat out less. Let's cut back on booze, right? Those things. But what about stress?
Right.
I am so guilty of just like having these super high stress moments and these negative feelings, and then just expecting myself to magically recover from it
Right.
without
Just like
putting
to
in the
just
work.
get a good night's sleep. And here's the thing, good luck getting a good night's sleep. So we're reading a book right now and I make us stop it an hour before bed because it's causing me to have nightmares, not nightmares, but just like intense dreams where I
Yeah.
am the hero of the story and I cannot save, and Brad is the other character and I can't save him. And so we're like, anyways, long story short, guys, if you know, you know. So anyway, I had like 8 hours I could sleep last night. And I was like, I'm not going to need my alarm. Yes, I did, because I woke up so many times because I had this stress dream going on. And I wrote in my journal, I need to figure out how to calm my nervous system before I go to bed. And I wrote that and I'm like, you know how to do that. You,
If I
you,
was going to ask anyone how to do that, I would probably
it would
ask
be me.
you.
It would be me. And I was like, you're just not using your tools. You're just not being, I do it in the morning because I love a morning routine. I love setting myself up for success, but like I'm not doing it my nighttime routine. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, this is do your thing tonight. So tonight I
Right.
have to go back to my practicing what I preach, which is not just my having a great morning routine, but having a good night one. So I agree with you. We have the tools. We just don't have the protocol. And when you're in a stressful situation, it's kind of hard to go, let me reach. I guess the best example is like, you know, when someone's drowning, I actually tell lifeguards, like, be careful because a drowning person is likely to drown you, because
Yeah.
even though you're there to reach out for help, they're thrashing. So I feel like when we're in a stressed out state, we can't reach for our stress protocol because we're drowning.
Absolutely. And I think those like stress protocols, it's very simple at the end of the day, right? You're stressed out. Let's get a good night's sleep. Let's do some journaling, some meditation, something that makes you feel good. I don't know, color, dance, read a book, whatever. Do you, right? Those things that are really, really easy to do. Also, very, very, very easy not to do because of their
Mm,
simplicity. And so it's like as we're adulting, and like entrepreneurship is straight up personal development and personal growth, like you need to work on yourself more than the business. And that's kind of in the season that I'm in right now, right? Of like, hey, you've neglected yourself for X amount of time. We got to get back into it.
well, and that kind of makes me think, one of the things you and I were talking about offline is being a student versus studying to pass the test. I feel like this is an exact answer, right? If you're studying to pass the test, it's like, yep, I've memorized, check these boxes. That will bring your cortisol down. That's going to do this. That's going to make you have a good night's sleep. But actually
Mhm.
studying means trying them out,
Yeah.
experimenting, seeing if it will work. Is that what you mean when you think about studying versus passing the test?
Yeah, I think like I mean to even like parallel that example even more, like when I was going back to those like three instances, right? And I would like wake up and I'm like, okay, gotta brush my teeth, then I gotta open computers, then I gotta talk, do all of this before anybody talks to me at this time, literally rushing through my day to do the to-do list so then I could chill. And then I could be happy. That's an example of studying to pass the test. You are going through, you are cramming for that exam 2 hours before it hits. You're trying to memorize everything. And in those moments, life is passing you by around it, right? We are so hyper focused on is it A, B, or C that we can't even see what's going on around us. That's kind
Mm-hmm.
of studying to pass the test. And kind of where I'm calling in, I set a new word for this year, heaven forbid, but where I'm kind of leaning in this year is is asking more questions. And instead of it being like, okay, well, when Lana gets stressed out, she skips meals, she doesn't do her workouts, and she turns into a raging bitch.
Just a little bit.
Instead of just putting a period there, this year, I'm asking why. What is it? And why am I telling myself, like, here I am another year older. I'm going to be 36 this year. What's up? But
It's a good
why
year.
am
36 is a good year.
I'm excited. I'm like, get out of 35, right? But like going back, I mean, if we're just doing all of this work just to get to the place that we can chill, we're studying to pass the test. Instead, asking why in those moments. Like I had a little bit of a mentee bee today, this morning, and I was like, oh, I'm going to have some great examples for this call. But I was sitting here and I'll just keep it a buck. And I know she doesn't mind, but my other half, B, love her so much. We went and scouted a basketball game Monday night. It was raining, terrible weather. We go to spin this morning. I go to move my car and my car window was cracked. It has been raining for 3 days.
No.
7 a.m. And then just more little instances, right? So I come in and I start to feel that negative emotion coming up. And I'm like, look, she is a good human. It was not intentional. She would never intentionally drown your leather interior, right? Like, check yourself, Lana. Before you start this snowball spiral effect, check yourself. So I go and I'm like, okay, I need to like stop this wheel before it gets really rolling. I'm going to go meditate. So I turn on my meditation and go and I sit in this chair and I'm like, I am light, and I'm like breathing it in. I'm trying so hard. My dog jumps in my lap, pauses the meditation, turns on a man's voice that's a commercial about buying some car this year with a low APR, and I lose it. I am trying to do something good for myself.
I'm only laughing because I have been there. You're like, I'm meditating. I'm meditating. And it's like, motherfucker, what are you doing? I'm just trying to meditate.
I'm trying to control. And it just started this whole breakdown. And instead of me being like, Lana last year would have been like, I probably would have gotten in a fight with B. It had nothing to do with her. And I would have just sat there, probably cried, gone and done another workout, which would be even worse for my body stress response, right? And would have left it at that, said, okay, cool, I'll try again tomorrow. Instead, this year, I'm trying to go deeper and I'm trying to ask the why behind the what. Why was that one thing triggering me? And after unpacking it and taking more of a student approach to what was happening, pulling myself out of it, I started to notice that there were common patterns, right? I was feeling like, okay, I've been doing this, and making sure everyone else is taken care of and okay this week, and I'm not getting that in return. And so instead of me getting to that point and be like, B, you're not giving it to me or whatever, I unpacked it more. And really what it was and what it all stemmed down to is I was giving my energy away this morning and this week before I was filling myself up and making sure I was okay. I've gotten the habit of getting on social media first thing or opening emails, and I wasn't taking that time. So in these situations, literally I had like 5 or 6 situations this week where it was the common theme. Again, I'm the common denominator, right? And so it was because I just wanted to be appreciated and like, hey, I see you, you're doing great. But all of these negative things came in. And if I put a period on it, instead of asking a question after that sentence, there would be no growth. It would have been studying for the test, me not retaining the information, and me getting that test again in 2 months and failing it.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is not the easiest thing to go, okay, why is this upsetting me so much? I mean, a dog jumping on you during a meditation, hitting the wrong thing should be funny. It should be funny. And so when it's not funny, when something like so ridiculous happens and it's not funny, there's something going on. There's an underlying current that's not being addressed. And I remember this would happen to Brad and I would have like the same kind of a thing. It's always happening when we're trying to do too much at the same time. You know, it's scary to hire, it's scary to delegate, it's scary to say no to things, but actually we really had to do that we had a no new things in 2019 mantra. And like we've like done it other times. And what I can say is not that our life is perfect, but now it's a little easier for us both not to blow up at the same time because like we're both not overdoing it in this like
Yeah.
and trying to be like a hero. And I think you have to, if you don't learn from the things, you get to repeat the same exam and you'll still get the same crappy score, which is memorized, which is not the, it's
Yeah.
not the thing. I hope people are like laughing and listening and also asking themselves same thing, like, what is this? Yes, some days you have to check boxes. I think it's really important to note that there's just some days you're like, yep, I'm going for my walk and I don't want to do it. Yep, I'm sitting in this chair and I'm trying to meditate and I don't. There's those days, but then if you are finding yourself blowing up the people you love, something isn't happening you're probably not articulating. I hate to say this, but we actually have to tell people how we want to feel appreciated because people like I will brag about Brad all the time and then realize like I actually told him, oh, I really like that you made me coffee every morning. We don't realize that we're not actually showing our appreciation to the person. We often tell our friends or we tell our social media, we tell these things. And so if you aren't getting the appreciation you want, you do have to almost articulate, here's how I would like to be appreciated. And these kinds of things would make me feel appreciated. And no one wants to have those conversations because there's no time. None of us have, we're all cramming so much for so many tests. We're not actually taking the time to be in a philosophy class or psychology class or any kind of class that you would be like learning about something where you actually get to learn. I think that that's my takeaway. It's like, maybe I should explore where I can be in a more theory class versus, okay, I'm just passing the test, I'm checking the box. But if you're listening, you're like, I just checked the box today. Be okay with that because it's better than not doing the things, but just understand if you were doing it every single day or if you're resenting others. But here's the deal, because Launa, you and I are very similar. I have a really hard time being in the present moment. I read my dailies today and it was a lot of us focus on the past. We focus on the future. Like we're trying to get so far in the future, like currently with what's going on in the world. I'm like, can we just like fast forward 1,000 days? Like, can we just like fucking do it? Right. Not like it's a specific number or anything, but like I find myself fast forwarding because the present feels really difficult. So how are you working on that sense of urgency and not letting that take over? Because we're doers, we're like action takers. How do you slow down?
Well, it's so funny because I was literally, as you were talking, I was like, oh, this is a perfect segue into urgency. But to go off of what you were talking about, of you and Brad sitting down and having those conversations, I think I wanted to like echo something like in the heat of the moment when we are cramming for those tests. It always isn't the best climate to be able to sit down and be like, you know what, I've thought about my feelings. And then to be able to think about your feelings, to process them, and then to assign words to be able to articulate and do it without putting someone on the defensive is not easy to do.
Yeah, that takes special skills. I think that's like superhero type skills.
Very, very special skills. But I also think that urgency culture and us hurrying to study to pass that test and all of these things and our never ending to-do list is also stripping us from the human connection, from enjoying the day to day, from being present in the moment. And so one of those things that I'm really trying to call in is the first thing, and I know it's going to sound stupid, it's going to sound so cliche, but it is real, is my phone. Because I have clients messaging me, I have emails coming to my phone, I have group messages, I have all of these things. The second that I start to look elsewhere and I start to get in a like consumption mode of other people's lives, what other people are doing, of text here and this funny thing there, that's when my thinking starts to get messed up. And it's not like a cause and effect, right? Oh, I got on social media 5 minutes later, I'm calling myself fat and I hate what I see in the mirror. Like it's not like that. But over time, I think being more intentional about where my energy is going. And when I am on this call with you, I'm going to keep it a buck. My phone is hidden in my paper planner, so I can't even see it. And that way, I'm not paying attention. I'm not having this conversation with you and then seeing a notification come up and then me being like, oh, crap, what were we talking about? I'm on camera. And to be in that moment. And it's hard to put on those blinders and those distractions, but I'm going to argue that that's one of the best things that you can do whenever you are going through these instances is we start to kind of look outside of us for answers on us. And that doesn't make sense. Like, even saying that sentence sounds messed up. We start to look for answers outside of us about
Mm.
ourselves.
Yeah.
They're only found inside. And the only way that we can get to that student mindset is to be able to shut out the noise and quiet. So for
Mhm.
me, I'm intentionally getting on social media less. I'm posting, I'm going to check it one time a day, and I'm not looking, I'm not resharing, I have to protect my energy this week,
Yeah.
especially when I'm vulnerable and I'm going through these instances.
Yeah, I think that's really wise. I love that you put it in a book. I live on Do Not Disturb, as you know. The
Yes.
joke in our household is people call Brad and tell him to
Yeah.
find me.
Yeah. People call B and they're like, "Where's Launa?"
Yeah. Yeah. I do recall you going, "Hey, Brad, can you tell your wife to answer her phone? We have a call right now." I am a true like ADHD person. I will be like, "Oh, I've got a meeting in 20 minutes, so I can't start anything." And then I'm like, "Well, what's this over here?" And then I'm like, "Fuck, I'm 5 minutes late. How did that happen?" So that's me. But I do think that there are some tools we can use. And I know people are listening, but Lesley, I have to use social media for my business. Something that I am actually exploring is, what if I took all the pictures for stories and just posted them at one time for the next day? Does it really matter? You know what I mean? Like, does it really matter if it's 24 hours old? Because you can post like 20 stories at one time. There's a simple way of doing that. Or if you really have to be posting all day, can you have someone who does it for you so that you can send it to them and they can do it? Because you have to figure out how to protect yourself. And that shouldn't be a selfish thing. That shouldn't feel like a righteous thing. Whatever it's going on with you, if you're in a season of your life where that's a distraction or you keep picking up your phone, for me, I can pick up my socials, skip the feed and go straight to what I need to do and go to my DMs and get out of it. And so I've curated my feed to just being people who want to punch Nazis and beautiful nails. Like, that's kind of where it's at right now. So like, I kind of love it.
And I use nothing less from you.
Yeah. And I use like why are you showing this to me all the time? I'm like, I don't care about this. You can do those things. But if that's not something where you're at right now, then finding different tools, leaving your phone outside your bedroom, or there's a podcast I'm listening to where they're doing a focus challenge. Your phone will tell you how many times a day you picked it up. Do you know this? So you can actually, I think there's a tool that you can look at to see how many times did I open up my phone. It locked and I opened it. And then you can actually just aim to do less. This one person I was listening to, he picked up 283 times in a day. And I was like, oh my God.
I don't even want to comment on that until I know my number.
Correct. Exactly. Because I started to go, wow. And then I was, wait a minute. How many times do I? But even just picking those things, because that is going to help you be more present in the moment. That's going to give you the time to ask yourself, why am I feeling a certain way? What do I want out of this? All the tools in the world. You and I have studied from the best people out there on how to make our businesses go. How do we work on ourselves? How do we develop ourselves? How do we have growth? But all the tools in the world don't help you if you don't take the time to integrate them. And I want to highlight something you said. When you're in the moment, when you want to, yell like your car is wet and the dog jumped on you, and you're like, I need it. That's because I'm not being appreciative. I'm going to go tell. That's probably not the best time to go tell someone what you want. But what I think is really cool is measuring the time from the little mental bee to you understanding what's going on, to you being able to a place to articulate what that is. Maybe it takes you 2 days at one point, and if you can reduce that down to a day and a half, and you can reduce that to a day, and maybe you can reduce it down to, within an hour. Like, hey, I'm so sorry. The way I acted this morning, here's what happened. Here's why this is upsetting me. You don't need to do anything. Or in the future, like, can you shut the window? But so like, I think it's not about us being Zen Buddhist, like, monks over here who just walk through life in white robes. That's never going to happen. But us all being able to shorten the time frame from when we're frustrated to why we're frustrated to articulating what our needs are.
Yeah. And I think it comes down to a matter of intention. Even to your social media example, right? Like, being intentional about what you're doing, why you're doing it, while you're doing it, will help you be more present in that moment. So, like, It is my intention. I was like, gonna start a Lana stress spiral. I'm like, I got a podcast at 12 and I got to prep my call notes. And I was like, Lana, stop, have fun. Just get on this call, talk to your friend, get some good content out there, see how it evolves, have fun. Then when I'm done, I'm going to have fun while I'm doing X. And having those times and that intentional time, one of the quotes that sticks out, because this is something I have to be mindful of daily, because hi, human ADD. I'm like, there literally was a squirrel in front of my house as I said that. So I don't like when Sammy just went by. But I think being, I don't know who said it, where I heard it, but being where you are 10 toes down. Wherever those toes are, that's where your focus needs to be. Whether it's in the gym, whether it's, okay, my toes are under my computer, it's work time. If I'm in the kitchen, my toes are eating, like what we got going on. And being intentional in your reflection time of, okay, why did I just act like a mega asshole? Why? And being intentional in the information extraction, right? Then being intentional with you taking the time to process and asking yourself the questions, right? And then being intentional in the way that you communicate what you want. And then clearly, I'm not going to say the word intention again, but leading with that of, why am I doing the thing that I'm doing right now? And is that in alignment?
Yeah.
And if it's not, then we need to ask why and do something, maybe pivot to get back into alignment. But I think that's what I'm focusing on is
intention
really,
your word for the year?
No.
What is it?
My word for the year is actually peace.
Mm.
And I cannot wait to see in 2026 what that does to my year. But for lack of a better phrase, I just want to shit rainbows this year. I want to call in the good. I just want connection, and I want laughter, and I want community, because I think I truly spent the last 2 years in head down grind, hustle, like just work yourself into the ground mode. And yeah, it was great. And I got a bunch of clients and helped people get results. And like, I did the things and I was fulfilled doing the things. It wasn't work I didn't like. But I also haven't gotten on an airplane in a year and a half. I haven't gone to a beach in a year. I missed out on a lot of the things on the day to day. Like, Lesley, one year we saw each other 3 times going to all these events.
I know, so fun.
So like all of these things that are a part of my identity are things that I started to put to the back burner because I was prioritizing my work and my clients over me. And so this year, I just want to simplify everything. I want peace. I want good food, good company, good sleep, good sex, pretty views, quality conversations. And that's what I want to focus on. So whatever learning and self-growth and all of meditations and car windows that need to happen to get to that spot, I'm willing to put in the work because I've seen what it's like on the other end.
Yeah.
And that's not fun.
I think what's really cool. So I want to share a story, and it's not to make you doubt your word at all, but it is for everyone who had the word. So my yoga instructor, we should have him on the podcast, Brad. We should figure this out. But my yoga instructor is like a philosopher, and he says you can't have love without hate. You can't have peace without war. And so anything that we're wanting to call more in, for everyone, whatever that word is, there is going to be the other side. It doesn't mean you get to skip that. But the idea is that, can we recognize when it's happening and then when it's not happening? Are we able to recognize peace when we have peace? Because a lot of times we only recognize the opposite of what we don't want. We're like, oh, I've only got troubles and all I want is peace. And so, or I only have like haters and I just want to love. Can you recognize when you have it? And use in the instances that are not peaceful or not love-filled or not impactful as information around how could I grow from this? Was there a way to prevent that from happening at all anyways? Is that even in my control? If it's outside of my control, then can't do anything anyways. But if it was inside your control, what adjustments can I make in my life so I don't repeat that thing again. So I think it's like, I love the word peace. I had a year where I was like ease. And I just kept asking, like, anytime something came stressful, I'm like, how can I make this more easeful? This isn't easy. So
Yeah.
what could I
Yeah.
bring to it? Could I bring music on? Do I need to change the music that's playing so that this is more easeful? Do I need to ask for help? I'm sharing all this because I need to hear it myself. So I'm going to re-listen
Yeah.
to my own podcast so I can take
Same.
my own, so I can take my own medicine. But it's like, how can I use the things that are opposite of what I'm trying to call in as information around what I can change for myself? Or if it's outside of my control, how do I let it go? Because that there's nothing you can do anyways, right? So anyways, this has been so fun.
No, I love it because now you got me on another tangent, but
Okay.
I really believe, like, I mean, humans, they operate out of one of two mechanisms, fear or love, right? Anything that we do is either like, if you ask enough questions, you're going to get to the base, and that base is either going to be you're scared of something or you love something, right?
Mm.
And so kind of getting into these, like when growth happens and all of these negative emotions, we're scared of, because we are made to feel aligned and feel good and all of that. But if we again slip into student mode, those negative emotions are like a flashing yellow sight that something isn't in alignment. So
Mhm.
if we can sit with those and recognize, hey, I have to go through this to get the opposite, then I think it becomes almost, as Jill would say, let's lower the barrier of entry. In order to have peace, you gotta go through the chaos. In order to
Mhm.
have a sunny day, like you wouldn't even be able to know what a sunny day is like if all you saw was rain.
Yeah.
And so the messages that you're telling yourself, so like, yes, I want peace this year, and I have had to catch myself 942 times already having chaos in my brain and feeding the chaos, right?
Mhm.
So as you're working towards whatever it is, whether it's fitness, nutrition, you're trying to get a new deadlift PR, you're trying to nail your macros, you're not going to get to the spot where you're able to do that without the lows that are associated with those highs.
Mhm.
Literally, to PR your deadlift, you have to tear your muscle fibers down and rebuild them. And I was talking to my friend this morning on the phone, and I was frustrated. I'm like, why? I've been doing personal development for 35 years. Like
Since
I get
since you
this
were
is a
one,
lesson.
you've been doing it.
Like, come on, since I was a baby in my mom's womb, I've been doing this. What is going on? And she was like, Launa, you're with a new company. You're at ground zero. Just because you've had a ground zero before doesn't mean that this isn't a ground zero again. If
Mm.
you are constantly, she she told me something hard that really slapped me in the face. And she was like, "Okay, so you're always going to be stressed out and you're always going to be glorifying your to-do list because you're constantly growing." And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "So you're going to constantly grow and you're going to constantly get better and you're setting these expectations for yourself, but as you're getting close to reaching those, you're changing the height of the bar.
Yes.
And so you're consistently going to be disappointed because that's who you are. You're high achieving, you like to
Yeah.
operate there, but you're going to constantly be disappointed every time I go to move that bar up and I keep falling."
Right.
So we need to learn how to be okay in the moment because the journey's never going to end.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's always going to change. So what are you going to do? Are you going to like just sleep an entire road trip with your spouse and miss every single thing on the road, or are you going to look out the window?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think that's beautiful. I think it's totally fine to have an achiever mindset and have a growth mindset and be a doer. Like, I'm a recovering perfectionist and overachiever. That being said, it doesn't mean that you can't live a life with a mountain with no peak. We had a guest, Carrie Ford, who it's like, you know, a, an achieving woman, like there's a mountain with no peak. That doesn't mean that along the mountain, you don't stop at a plateau and you look
Right.
around and you take it in. That doesn't mean that you don't have to go around a long journey to get to the next peak. You always moving the bar in your life, there's actually nothing wrong with that because you are constantly wanting more. What all of us who do that have to recognize is, are we celebrating where we're at when
Mm.
we get there? if we don't, it makes it really, really hard to be curious and study and ditch the urgency we've been talking about, because we're just waiting for that next test because I'll just pass it and then I did it. And instead of, no, actually just stop and take it in. Just stop, look at your views, look at the cloudy day, look at the rain, and celebrate. Here's what I did do today, So I just want to say that because I just want to make sure everyone knows it is absolutely fine to have goals and you can move the goalpost, but you must celebrate that you got to a goalpost. I had a coach who says he's not hit a goal in his business in 6 years, but he feels extremely successful. So I think the barometer is you can move the goalpost, but if you never feel like you've been successful, then maybe there's some reflecting to do.
Yeah. And I think that comes back to like being present and being 10 toes down, right? Like people literally hire me to help keep them accountable on their journeys. And a crucial part of that is being grateful and celebratory for the progress that you've made and where you are in the moment and how you're creating a new version of yourself. It takes time to create different neural pathways. And as humans, we want X result and we want it now. And that's where a lot of resistance comes from, right? So enjoying it and realizing there's going to be sun, there's going to be rain, but it's all worth it. And it's all important to keep going.
Yeah.
So let's normalize minty bees, right?
Yes. Yes, I vote for that. Okay, we're going to take a brief break and find out where people can find you, follow you, work with you, and your beit action items. All right, Launa, where do you hang out? Where can they work with you if they are wanting accountability in their life for their journey, their fitness journey? What do you got for them?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. I hang out more there than Facebook. My Instagram handle is Launa Jae, Jae_. I have my new website that launched this week, so I will be sending it over to you if y'all are curious about coaching, anything like that, what it is that I do, or you want to hear more random stuff come out of my mouth. Hit me up on there. But yeah.
What's the website? We'll put it in the show notes, but just in case people are walking and talking.
Yes. It's www.activelifesports.com/active-lifestyle.
Okay. We will put that in there. We got to get you a short link. Brad is like, Launa needs a short link.
But
it's brand new. It's a 1 week old. Congratulations. Those are not easy things to do. Okay. You've given us so much, Launa Jae. What bold, executable, intrinsic, or targeted steps can we leave people with today?
Stay curious. Everything can teach you more about yourself. Create awareness around where you are and get clear on where you want to go. And do not forget that grace and consistency go a long way. There are going to be hard days, but what do you do with them? Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I love each one of those. I think that it could be one sentence or it could be 5 commands, and you can pick one that you want. You're gorgeous. You're amazing. Brad and I adore you. And you get on a plane and come to Vegas, huh? Like,
yeah, let's
Southwest is having a sale, I'm sure.
Hey, it is like one of me and B's favorite places to come see you and Brad in Vegas. So.
We're just saying you should just get married here. That way we can be there.
What?
We have a Venetian. You can get married in New York, New York. There's like all these different.
Married in your backyard, but it's the sleep set.
You can get married in the backyard. Our wall matches your tattoos,
You see, it's meant to be. No, what's crazy is you're the second person that's asked if we were going to get married in Vegas. Unwarranted too.
Yeah. Well, that's I just like to do unsolicited commands of people getting married in Vegas. All right, my loves. How are you going to use these tips in your life? Please let Launa Jae and the Beit Pod know. Share this with a friend who needs to hear it. I mean, there's so many different good one-liners to remember. If you find yourself taking a horse pill without water, maybe it's time to be curious. And until next time, be it till you see it.
That's all I got for this episode of the Be It Till You See It podcast. One thing that would help both myself and future listeners is for you to rate the show and leave a review. And follow or subscribe for free wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, make sure to introduce yourself over at the Beit Pod on Instagram. I would love to know more about you. Share this episode with whoever you think needs to hear it. Help us and others be it till you see it. Have an awesome day.
Be It Till You See It is a production of the Bloom Podcast Network. If you want to leave us a message or a question that we might read on another episode, you can text us at +1 310 905-5534 or send a DM on Instagram at beitpod.
It's written, filmed, and recorded by your host, Lesley Logan, and me, Brad Crowell.
It is transcribed, produced, and edited by the Epic team at Diseño.co.
Our theme music is by Ali at Apex Production Music, and our branding by designer and artist Gianfranco Cioffi.
Special thanks to Melissa Solomon for creating our visuals.
Also to Angelina Herrico for adding all of our content to our website. And finally, to Meredith Root for keeping us all on point and on time.